This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey there, Thunder Buddies and Travellers down Thunder Road. It's us, Days of Thunder, the WCW Thunder rewatch podcast that you didn't ask for, but we did anyway, coming to you as part of the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. I'm your host, your wild stipulation on Thunder Road, Dave Ryan, and I am joined, as I am every week, by my faithful co-host. He's Steiger Lee Malone. Lee, how are you this week?
I'm good, pal. A bit perturbed at the dog collar around my neck.
Yeah.
But, hey, listen, we do things for this show that people don't expect.
Yeah, and I've got my piss contacts in. More on that later.
My piss contacts.
It's the one memory I have of this show at this point. It's weird because, like, I suppose, let's go a bit inside baseball. As people are listening to this, you're away on your jolliers.
No, I'll be back and all.
Will you? Oh,
Yeah.
So you're just being a lazy fuck, basically.
Well, no, we normally record
No, that's grand. No.
the Monday
Yeah.
before the show comes out.
Yeah.
I will not be in the country
Yeah.
until late on Monday.
See, this is what happens. Malone's got a whiff of that sponsorship money now, and he's just fucking jet setting.
Listen, the first quarter of that sponsorship money has come in, and
Yeah.
listen, plans have been made.
He's. I've heard you've incorporated yourself in Malta for reasons as yet disclosed.
Listen, there's been a recent opening in the football agent world, so I may or may not be taking some meetings. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe I was talking last week on the show about how, Steiger Lee is gone. Should we look at a new nickname? And the Dennis O'Brien of podcasting is right there. Just saying.
Listen, that money was just resting.
Hey, buddy, do you know what my one of my big takeaways from the last show is? Speaking of the last show we did, I got 4 words for you. Snack talk is over.
Yeah, man. People love the snack talk.
Thunder Buddies are digging snack talk. Even though, like, it's a thing that has become a bit on the show, but was not actually intended to be a bit.
No, I mean, you did not want to talk about snacks the last time.
No. It is not... Neither time has it been something that we put on the docket to talk about. It's just something that's happened out of not wanting to talk about what's happening on WCW at the time. And as a result, Lee, we've ended up accidentally making this a segment, and we just reached out to see if a couple of people have some snacks of choice for us to, like, not review as in eat, unfortunately, but review as in have a look at, would it be our kind of thing? So I guess snack talk is a thing.
Well, hang on. I would be open to people sending us some snacks.
Oh, look. We've said we'll be co-opted by anyone.
Yeah, if companies...
How do you think the fucking Maltese Falcon there on the other end of Zoom to me funds his lavish lifestyle? It isn't by paying for his own snacks, I'll tell you that.
If any Irish companies, English companies, American companies want to start sending some stuff our way, they're more than welcome to.
Oh, anytime. Except mushrooms. I wasn't actually prepared for how controversial elbow drop on mushrooms would be.
I mean, it's not controversial. It's just wrong.
I didn't realize how many fungus perverts there were out there amongst the thunder buddies.
The thunder perverts
amongst the Thunderbirds. Yeah, fucking Tracy Island is rife with fucking mushrooms.
Listen, people that listen to us have good taste and they enjoy their mushrooms.
Do you mean people have good taste? Semicolon. However, they enjoy mushrooms. That's what you mean, of course.
You need to just accept that you are wrong.
Never bet in me life.
Anyway, let's move on to what a couple of listeners have sent on. So what's the first snack?
Okay, so in our first ever edition of Listener Snack Talk on here, we start off with a strong one, I think. And it screams to me afternoon in the pub watching the football, and that comes from Webcon, who says that their favourite snack, or one of their favourite snacks anyway, are Planters Redskin Spanish Peanuts. Now, I don't know, I wouldn't call myself a snack peanut connoisseur necessarily. I'll have a peanut in the pub or whatever. Did I talk about the peanut mix I've been enjoying very much lately?
Yes, you have. You mentioned it before.
Yes, yeah. the spicy corn mix from Lidl. We'll take their sponsorship books and a few bags of corn mix.
I remember because I put over the honey roasted peanuts from Lidl.
Oh, yes. So these are Redskin Spanish peanuts, and what it looks like, just, again, looking at the tub here, looks like lightly salted as well, and that is your perfect savoury afternoon with the football and a beer, which is very much the vibe of this podcast, I think. So Planters Redskin Spanish Peanuts definitely get a big thumbs up from me.
They can definitely be sent our way.
Yeah, I think it definitely, yeah. So Lee is going to be the arbiter of what can and can't be sent our way. And no matter what you say, I'll be overruling this next one and saying, yes, we will get this one sent our way. Because I'll tell you what, longtime Thunder buddy at Kieran Edits on Twitter, holy shit, he's come in and just dropped the bomb. Snyder's of Hanover pretzel pieces, honey, mustard and onion flavour. This looks like a fucking time.
These look great. My first thought, I actually looked at the tweet and my first thought was, were they the pretzel borders from Oberhausen? I think we've talked about them a long time ago on the show, because we haven't really been to Oberhausen much since we started the show, but the Werther's original popcorn that they sell in Germany, particularly the pretzel edition, as you mentioned there, long-time favourite snacks of ours. It's like crack. It's, oh God, it's so good. Yeah, but this... Basically, any flavoured pretzel is going to be a winner in my book.
Yeah. Oh, I love the little sour cream and onion ones you get in... you can get in Tesco. Can't think of the brand. It might be Snyder's as well. But these, flavoured sourdough hard pretzel. I'm fucking... Wow.
Once again, a good point and a handful of these, you're not going to go too far wrong.
No. Although I almost think this might be like... I think the honey mustard and onion might be like a little bit too lush for just having with the match. You know, is this a I'm entertaining guests and I would like to impress them with my savoury snack? As opposed to an afternoon in the pub, this is I'm having people over for the Super Bowl.
I was just going to say you're having people over for the Champions League final. Let's put on a spread.
Yeah. We used to do over in this house when I had the lads living here with me. We used to do Super Bowl, WrestleMania. What else would we do? If there was a World Cup or European Championships, Eurovision, obviously the last true sport. And this would be the kind of snack that I would consider for that. If I'm really putting on a show, that would be it. Our final one, also very strong, and this is the one. So the first two, I knew that salted peanuts. It's not reinventing the wheel, is it, Lee? And pretzel pieces, we've heard of pretzel pieces before. Now, the honey mustard onion was new for me. This next one, from Tim Emmel, this blew my tiny little mind. These are Golden Graham
some kind of
s'mores remix. It's bits of Golden Graham. We've got Cocoa Puff cereal in there as well. hunks of marshmallow by the looks of it. I mean, this is just... were you ever somebody that when you were like younger, you would gladly eat like a tiny bowl of dried cereal?
Oh yeah, I'd still eat a tiny bowl of dried cereal.
And funnily enough, this is very reminiscent of the cereal I would have like dry as a little snack, Shreddies.
Oh, okay. See, I've never eaten Shreddies as a dry cereal, but Cheerios and Rice Krispies, yeah, absolutely. Cornflake, any type of like cornflake or flavoured cornflake, yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. And this is one of those, like, it's a 5.5 ounce bag, and it's one of those ones that, like, it's cute because it says resealable pouch, as if it's going to take more than one sitting to power down that sucker. I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
as documented on the show, I've been looking after myself a lot more the last year, and I've noticed that in correlation with that, with one exception in an anecdote I'm about to tell, I can't eat as much as I used to. But I'll tell you, I will make a damn good stab at putting down one of these bags in a go.
I don't even think it'd take very much. 5.5 ounce shouldn't be too hard.
You see, it's quite light cereal though, isn't it? So like you could get a lot in 5.5 ounces. I guess Tim is the expert here. But yeah, if you have a snack food that you maybe don't think we're aware of in particular, I'd like to see regional snack foods. That would be a really interesting snack talk. And hey, obviously, as Lee said, if you want to send us some snacks, hit us up, because like towards the end of last year, we finally developed a system for getting packages to us without me having to put my postal address online or pay for a PO box. So two things I was unwilling to do.
Listen, if any wrestlers had my home address, I'd be in trouble. Here's while we're in snack talk land, do you know what I did? You might know, actually. I don't know if we follow each other on Instagram. I don't even know if you have Instagram. I don't have Instagram.
Yeah, I only rarely use it. But do you know what I did for the first time in 2.5 years yesterday as we're recording this?
Go for it. What did you do for the first time in 2.5 years?
I went to a buffet. I thought...
Hang on. Alan Forel's ears just perked up.
So, for those of you who don't know a lot of the history of kind of like our group of like this weird corner of Irish wrestling Twitter that the two of us were kind of like spat into the world from. A lot of us are survivors of either boards.ie or the Figure 4 Observer boards back in the day. And on the Figure 4 Observer boards, on SummerSlam Sunday every year, they used to do a thing called Super China Buffet Day, where people from the board would meet up all over the world at their nearest Chinese buffet. And, you know, they'd post pictures on the board and stuff like that. And that was the first time, well, one of the first times I had met our good friend Zig and Amo before once at a house show. I recounted that story on the show, I believe, before. But the first time I met the likes of Alan Forel, and that was at a Super China Buffet Day. And the first time the two of us actually talked properly was at a buffet as well.
Was that a buffet the day of a tent show, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at the day of the Spiegel tent, which might have been SummerSlam Sunday.
Ooh, possibly.
That might have been why we did a buffet. Because we didn't usually do a buffet before OTT.
Do you know what it was? It was a Saturday, and I think you went to the show the next day in Belfast.
Oh, God, I did, yeah.
Because there was somebody that was in the room next to you that...
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that was a different show. That one.
Yeah.
This one was still in the summer because I remember we were outside in t-shirts. The show you were the show that we went to the China Buffet Day was the Spiegel tent show where we were stuck in a queue with someone who was trying to swear blind to me that Brock Lesnar's diverticulitis was a work.
Jesus.
And that CM Punk was winning the Royal Rumble that year. CM Punk, who at that stage had been gone 3 or 4 years from WWE.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was the first time you met Robert.
Here he is. Fucking name a dirt sheet, brother. Anyway. I went to this buffet. So this is my first... Buffets had been long part of the tradition of our friends group, which is... All that preamble was just to say that. But when COVID happened, I kind of wrote off the idea that buffets would ever be a thing again. The buffet we used to like to go to in Dublin had closed down just before COVID, and then COVID hit, and we were all fucked. Now, there was one Chinese in Oberhausen I never went to that Alan swears by, but all of us never went to.
Yeah, not to go to.
Because it's in a train station. And, like, train stations and Chinese restaurants, there's something about it. And, like, I believe Alan. I believe that he had great food every time. And I believe that the people in there genuinely did know him by the end, which is what it sounds like. But anyway, we had kind of, in my head, I had ruled out that we'd ever get to go to a buffet again. And then yesterday we were looking for somewhere to go, and my partner, she had seen on TikTok that there was this like buffet up in Dundrum in Dublin. And I was like, oh my God, you know, this is one of the last things I used to do before COVID that I haven't done since COVID. So let's fucking do it. And brother, it was immense.
Really?
It was stupendous. Firstly, it was like 20 quid, which was great. A great price point for how much was there. And then 3 quid extra to get bottomless soft drinks. Always a fucking nice touch for me.
That's absolutely nothing, yeah?
Yeah, right. So, they had, your kind of, there's like your standard, the things you'd expect, like, you know, there's curries, and there's chicken balls, and there's salt and chili chicken, there's chips, noodles, a couple of kinds of rice, things like that. But then you get into, now, according to TikTok, usually they have pizza. There wasn't pizza there on Sunday.
Okay.
They had spaghetti bolognese. They had kind of like some stuff that, you know, is vaguely kind of Chinese food, but you wouldn't get at your average buffet. So I had black pepper beef, which was,
okay.
And it was like, it was proper, like, decent beef. Like, it wasn't that chewy, kind of gristly stewing beef. It was awesome. They had like salt and chili squid, if that is your kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
They had a whole fresh sushi counter. So there was like pre-stacked sushi. There was like, you know, a whole row that was vegetarian, and then the rest of the stuff that had meat in it. But then behind you, there was a sushi chef who was ready to put together fresh sushi rolls for you.
Ah, okay.
There was, I think, 3 or 4 different kinds of noodles. There was a teppanyaki counter where you could build your own bowl and they would chop and fry it in front of you. There was an entire side of the room that was desserts. There was 2 kinds of chocolate fountain. There was a milk chocolate fountain and a white chocolate fountain, with your choice of big marshmallows, small marshmallows, or churros to dip in the fountain.
You sound like a man who went to both fountains.
I absolutely did. I had to report back to the podcast, my friend.
Absolutely.
A selection of cakes, an ice cream bar. Like, you know, there's like, you open the fridge and there's like 8 different kinds of ice creams. That's all included. The only thing that was like, if you want this, it's extra, is either some of the premium fruit juices or the slushy machine. Was like, you have to pay a couple of quid extra and get a special cup for it. So I had an absolute time. Do you know what the weirdest thing, and like, it's not a weird food item, but it's not something I would have ever expected at a global cuisine buffet was?
Okay, go for it.
Hash browns. Would never have expected it at like a place like this. Like, it's literally like, you're looking at it as like chips, rice, noodles, boom, hash browns. I was like, okay.
Were they there as like a chip substitute?
No, but I'll tell you what, I tried one because I was like, what the fuck, like, this is super weird, and they were delicious. Oh, there was also dim sum as well.
Nice.
There was like the one thing we had seen on one of the TikToks that we were disappointed wasn't there. There was like bao buns. They didn't have any that day, but I imagine things changed slightly based on stock and season and things like that. But it was an immense eating experience. I am proud to say, for my like coming out of retirement, the buffet muscles aren't stretched. Powered down 2 fairly packed savoury plates, followed by 2 reasonably packed dessert plates. High point of the savoury, I'd have to say the black pepper beef. So good, I actually went up and got a little bit more the second time as well. High point of the desserts, I would have to say, like, so the milk chocolate was the better of the 2 fountains. Can categorically say that. But I will also say there was a 3-milk cheesecake. Don't know what that means. It was nice. They also had like, I'm going to send you pictures of this shit,
you need to,
because there was like a selection of donuts, like little donut balls, and there was like red berry filled, custard filled, and caramel filled.
Oh.
At the very end, opposite where the ice cream is, there was like all you can eat toppings. So there's like white chocolate buttons, milk chocolate buttons, jelly babies, jelly beans, and sprinkles. It was fucking insane. It was insane. Like, we were there for over an hour. I doubt I tried even half of what they had before. I nearly needed to go to the hospital. So good. When we got home, I just had to go to bed. It was the middle of the day.
Emma wasn't sitting there like Marge Simpson in the fish restaurant with Homer.
No, very famously, actually, she the first time we ever went to a buffet together, it was on our first trip. We went to Belfast, and we saw, because they don't have Pizza Huts here in the Republic of Ireland anymore, but they do have them up in the north still. Mm-hmm. So we're like, I haven't been to a pizza Hut buffet since I was 10. We gotta go. So we went. And I immediately, because now it was my first time as an adult, and I'd never even, I think like these counters are invisible to you when you're a kid. I went up to the salad bar first. And I was getting like, they had like fresh piping hot breadsticks, and they had this and that. And I was piling up a couple of bits like that. And Emma decided to take the opportunity to talk smack to me and say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realise this was a little ladies' tea party." So look, she can bring her A game to the buffet. To be fair, this is one of the many reasons I'm with her.
I have to say, I really missed the Pizza Hut buffet.
Oh man, it was the best. Was it like, no wonder they went out of business, because it was like 8 or 10 quid, and it's like unlimited drinks and fill your boots on pizza until like for like 2 hours.
In my first job, like a friend of mine, his brother worked in Pizza. So we would literally say, like, we'd send him a text at like 11:30, say, right, we'll be over at 1:00, have this pizza out, this pizza out, this pizza. They'd be there, no problem. It was great.
Yeah, a Pizza Hut hookup. That's one of the, like, I never had a Pizza Hut hookup. I had like hookups in Extravision for like, you know, nod, wink, wink, free game and movie rentals. And I had like a few cinema contacts, but yeah, never a Pizza Hut one. That's a shame. I did have a KFC contact once in one of my first jobs. I worked in a bookshop in a shopping centre, and a guy who worked in KFC was basically like, he would say to us, if you throw me like a couple of free newspapers when I'm working, I will throw you like twice as much chicken with your order if you come up at lunch. And that was great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on, because this is dangerously close to just becoming a snack podcast. I'm not against it.
Days of snacks. It makes itself.
We have to announce what our TRL show is going to be, buddy.
Oh, we do. I forgot about this.
On the Go Home show for Uncensored 99, we said that we were spinning the wheel to determine what the next Thunder Request Live episode is going to be. And we said on the show before that show, we would reveal what it is if people want to watch along beforehand, or if they want to find themselves somewhere they can watch this thing in time for us to do our watch along. Would you like to tell us, Lee, what Dr. Annoyed Grunt on Twitter selected as he won the draw?
Yes, so I am personally very excited for this one.
Yeah.
This is going to be our first trip to the land of the extreme, because we will be watching ECW Living Dangerously 1999.
Yeah, and keen listeners will know that we mentioned that one of the other shows in the wheel is linked to this show. It's later in the timeline, but in the same company. So, yes, we are going to... The next 2 TRLs are going to be ECW.
ECW pay-per-views, yes.
Both in 1999, I believe.
They are, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's that. But you may have seen on Twitter that we said this show was going to have a Tony Khan-sized announcement. And it's not the Forbidden Door, Lee.
Although, if we want to get if anyone wants to invite us through that door, we will gladly go.
Our announcement is, and we're both on tenterhooks. This is something we've been talking about for a while. And we didn't know how we were going to announce it or when we were going to announce it. But, you know, we felt it in our waters. Now is maybe the time to shit or get off the pot. So, from June 1st, Days of Thunder will have a Patreon. Says you, listener at home. Now, before anybody panics, I want to remind you of what I have said many times before. Days of Thunder and its constituent shows that are currently in the stream always will be free. So you will never have to pay for Days of Thunder. You will never have to pay for Days of Thunder doing pay-per-views. You will never have to pay for Cast and the Furious, although I think Cast and the Furious will become a free post on our Patreon, is my plan for it, rather than cluttering up the Voices of Wrestling feed. Mm-hmm. This is literally a staff chat on the air, because that was just an idea I had about an hour ago and forgot to tell you. That's my idea at the moment, Lee. Hope you like it, because I've said it now. So, all the shows you're currently getting and the timeline, never going to make pay for that. TRL, also, the remainder of Season 1 is all going to be, as we announced previously, on the free stream. Now, I suppose we go to the whys and the whats. So, why are we doing it, and what are you getting for your hard-earned bucks? So, the why, really, Lee, is that, you know, we've been doing this show for a few years now, and we have yet to have a year where the podcast is in the black, because we've never actually looked for any like financial recompense for ourselves. Not that we want to be like living in a solid gold house with a rocket car, but you know, we do invest quite a bit of money and time into the podcast, hopefully sounding good, and even more hopefully being good. In terms of like my recording setup cost quite a bit of money. I got it for this show. I got a Zoom recorder for when we can go and record with other people in the room with us. Ha! Thank you for that one, COVID. We got to do that once with Johnny, and then the world ended. But that was an idea. That was the original idea for Pick Your Poison, was we would go around to people and chat to them, you know, on our weekends away that we were always going on at the time. Yeah. Fuck's sake. So yeah, basically we've been kind of, and even just now, like since pandemic times and since like Skype really just
properly shit the bed.
Yeah. Since we moved over to Zoom, so we're paying for a proper Zoom account, and obviously that's a monthly fee, so that's coming out of our pockets at the moment. So all we really want is to break even. You know what I mean? We just want just a few dollars to be able to. We've no like grand ambitions here. We won't say no to your fucking money, but the idea is it would be really nice if we could do this thing without it costing us money, and if even we could like squirrel away a little bit to say when the time comes to upgrade any of our recording equipment, like if Lee's laptop, as it was threatening to do for a while, caught fire one week, that we would have a little bit of money towards a new one, or a microphone if one of ours breaks or something like that we'd have a little bit of reserve, and that also I guess we can if there's some money coming in, we can justify to our better halves why we spend so much time on this shit.
Yeah, because trust me, like you just said, we put time and effort into the show, so we decided to put more time and effort into more shows.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So now we get to the what. You know, the why is fairly basic. It's, you know, why a lot of shows do this kind of thing. The what, we thought long and hard about what can we reliably commit to, because we had all sorts, I'd say nearly a dozen different ideas for what we wanted to do, but we wanted to build a sustainable model whereby we can pretty well, you know, with the exception of illness or anything like that, that we can consistently provide you with the content we're telling you we will. So we won't promise you the world, we'll promise you a very realistically achievable goal for us. So we will have 3 tiers on the Patreon. The first tier I have called the Enos Alert tier. And that's just a $1 tier where you can chip in a couple of bucks, or €1 tier, should I say, for us filthy Euros. It's a €1 tier where it's basically just, hey guys, love the show, don't necessarily need, or I'm not necessarily able to afford some extra content this month. Here's a here's a dollar. Yeah, here's a euro. Here's a couple of bucks. Just to throw your way because I appreciate the show. We appreciate you. At that tier, you're not getting any extra content per se, but what we will post is a couple of days after each and every regular Days of Thunder, we're going to post our show notes as $1 tier posts. That is something that people are into, and if you want to see the writings of two madmen trying to stave off a mental breakdown as they watch World Championship Wrestling, boy, are those going to be the show notes for you. Again, my whole segue in my head about Bob Wire is in last week's show notes, and I won't remove any of that. As I was saying to Lee before we start recording, the only thing I'll change is any egregious spelling errors, which will completely discredit me with the listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
The middle tier, this is the juicy one, Lee. Are you ready for this? And it's suitably juicy because it is called the Team Beefy Da tier.
That one's for long time listeners.
Yeah, 100% premium beef at this level. And this is your extra content. This is the ideas we have had for new shows that we can tempt you with. This is going to be a little bit higher than the entry level tier. Again, these kind of this tier and the last tier, we will announce the final prices closer to our launch date on June 1st. The Team Beefy Da tier is extra podcasts is the main thing you're getting. You're also going to get access to my match of the year tracking sheet, which I try my very best to keep up on. And I'm going to mess around because I also would like, maybe I'll do a post looking for comments, but I also always appreciate recommendations for my match of the year tracker because my wrestling consumption can sometimes get very narrow and stale, and I like to watch different things, expose myself to different styles, different promotions and things like that. So maybe I will try and put in a facility there to recommend stuff to me. But my match of the year spreadsheet is the dullest thing on this list. Lee, are you ready? We're going to go through the 4 ideas that we are willing to unveil at this point in proceedings.
Yeah, so I think we'll start with the one that we are absolutely committed to. This is the bonus show you are going to get every month until we run out of shows on this category.
So I should say structurally in terms of, so everyone knows a regular Days of Thunder comes out every 2 weeks. We are going to up the commitment of monthly podcasts on the Patreon to the point where on most months you should get at least one podcast a week. You know, you'll get on Days of Thunder weeks, Days of Thunder will be the podcast that gets posted. That's on your VOW feed. That's on the Days of Thunder feed. But the alternate weeks, where we would have weeks off from the regular timeline, is when you will get an extra show if you're a patron. So yes, one of those will be kind of this first show that Lee's going to talk about. And then the other empty slot in between shows is going to be a kind of a rotating chair of different ideas we've had, so that it's always staying fresh. We have one series that's consistently going and another one that we're kind of doing semi-regularly. So walk us through, because this was your idea.
Yes. The first show that we're going to consistently have each and every month will be what we are calling Rehash of the Champions. Myself and Dave will studiously go back and watch every Clash of the Champions, all the way from the very beginning, Clash of Champions 1, right through to the end, which I think the last one was in 1997, I want to say, August 97 maybe. But yeah, so that's going to be the one that every month for the next, I can't even remember how many there is.
Until we run out. We run out. We will be doing Rehash of the Champions. And it's worth saying that the Rehash of the Champions series will be in the typical Days of Thunder style of review. It's not... TRL is kind of its own thing of doing the live watch-alongs, and maybe there'll be mini-series in the future where a watch-along is a better idea than a review, but this series will be a classic DOT style show.
The next one that we are going to do semi-regularly, I would imagine, is we are going to do an NXT rewatch. We are going to go back to the very first... What's the first show on the network called Takeover?
It was Arrival.
Arrival. That was the first one.
Yeah.
So we are going to go back and watch all of the Takeover, all the NXT specials.
Yeah. But, you know, the NXT special thing, you know, it's been done a couple of times, so it's why it's a semi-regular series for us. It was a big part, I think, for a lot of people of our generation of that kind of mid-2010s boom.
It got a lot of people through some kind of really bad wrestling on the main roster.
Yeah.
And it was a reason to stay in touch with kind of mainstream American wrestling.
Mm-hmm. So we'll be watching all the NXT specials on that. Then I want to proudly announce the next one, Lee, and that is that Days of Thunder at the Movies is going to become a regular program. A semi-regular program. So we have lots of ideas for this one. I suppose at first we'll try and at least tangentially relate it to wrestling.
I want to make one point.
Okay.
There will be one Days of Thunder at the Movies on the main timeline.
Yes.
Ready to Rumble will 100% be on the main timeline.
Ready to Rumble will be on the main timeline for free. What else will be on it for free? Arquette-Ween, our yearly tradition that we started last year, will always stay free on the timeline. Another limited series of ours will always stay free on the timeline. That's our WWA shows with Garrett and Liam.
Which they still haven't agreed to, by the way, but they absolutely will.
No, yeah, I'm just taking it as fait accompli that they're locked in with us until we run out of WWA. Yeah, I think that's...
I think that was the only ones that, absolutely will stay on the...
We have a bunch of, like, I think everybody in their head can think of, like, a bunch of movies that either are about wrestling, are related to wrestling, or wrestlers are in. You know, like the all-time horrible classics like Abraxas and shit like that. I very much want to watch The Punisher with you.
Yes.
With Kevin Nash in it.
The really bad Longest Yard.
Yeah, it's gonna like vacillate wildly in quality of movie. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking forward to, because anytime we talk about movies on this show, I have a really fun time, and they're kind of like a laid back change of pace for us. Then another kind of slot that will be rotated in, we're kind of leaving a space on the calendar that sometimes we'll do like one-off or limited series things that I really don't think justify doing it monthly or bi-monthly or anything like that. We might do a couple a year of this or that. And a couple of ideas we had for that kind of slot. Fantasy drafts are a thing that you would like to do. You know, we'd invite friends of ours on to do like a fantasy draft of, maybe say...
certain topics.
Pulling it out of my head. Yeah, pulling it out of my head. Like, we don't have any solid ideas yet, but say like the Thunder 99 roster we could do a fantasy draft of or something like that. Another limited series could be listener polls. Hey, we've had an idea for 3 different shows that don't really fit anywhere. Here's a poll. Patrons, tell us which one is best. We've thought about doing the very, very occasional, if our computers don't blow up trying to manage it, doing like a tier list stream. That'd be kind of like it's really just a hangout stream idea for anybody who's subscribed to the Patreon, that you can just come on, chat with us, chill with us in the chat as we come up with some sort of really silly tier list. It could be like, Hulk Hogan wardrobe choices 96 through 2001 tier list, anything like that. And then obviously we're also open to listener ideas as well for series and things like that.
Yes, we absolutely want your good ideas that we can monetize.
Yeah, we don't just... but it's more that I don't want to provide a service that people don't want. If there's something that they think, oh, I'd love to hear Dave and Lee do this. Like, if you want, 5-minute snack talk updates every month or two, fuck it. Like, we'll do it if people want it, Again, we'll be co-opted for anybody. If you're willing to pay for it, fuck it. Like,
we will do anything. Anything you ask.
I want to say almost anything, because I'm not letting that be a legally binding verbal contract. You can do whatever you like over there,
we
pal.
will allegedly do anything.
Yeah, within reason. So very quickly, because I realise this is going on quite a while, the final tier will be the TRL tier. I'd say people have probably figured that out. That will be the slightly pricier tier, only very slightly though. And that will be limited to 6 slots per year. Yeah. Because on top of all that other stuff we're already saying we're going to commit to on a regular to semi-regular basis, we think from the first series of doing TRLs that we can probably commit to doing one every 2 months of those on top of all the stuff we're saying we're going to do on Patreon. So season 1 of TRL will finish on the free feed as planned, but then season 2's ones will be on the Patreon feed. Especially as like things get weirder, because there are some bad wrestling shows on the list and there's some good wrestling shows, but nobody has gone with a completely mental pick yet that is absolutely a complete tonal shift from what we do. So I want to give the Patreon feed is where the weird shit's going to happen. So
I think you say that as somebody who has never seen the show that Miss Erin Quinn selected.
Yes, that is going to be...
Sorry, Erin will obviously be our last TRL on the main timeline.
For season
Let me tell
one,
you,
yeah.
They have selected a doozy of a show.
Fucking hell, yeah. Every time I'm reminded of it, I'm just like, yeah, we're going to have to do that, aren't we? But anyway, look, we're not going to, every time we talk about Patreon, we're not going to beat you over the head like we just did there. This is kind of just our launch announcement. Stay tuned to, like I said, it will be June 1st that it will get announced. We'll drop the URL on the day. Yeah. We'll drop some kind of, like, some sneak previews, maybe, some little clips.
We should say that we could obviously open the Patreon as of right now.
Yeah.
But we don't want people to get charged for, like, half a month or... To somebody to log in on the 31st of May and get double charged then. No, it will. Yeah. The Patreon will go live on June the 1st. Dave will set it to go live June 1st, LA. Isn't it LA time?
It's roughly the same time of day where the podcast would get posted. On June 1st, so it's kind of like morning time West Coast on the States, but it's like lunchtime early afternoon in Europe. I think is what we've discovered is the best time for everyone. So yeah, we'll have some previews, some links and stuff like that, and we hope you'll join us there. If not, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry yourselves. We really just appreciate you listening in and being along with us for this journey. We're going to keep going until the wheels fall off regardless, but we would really appreciate it if you decided to become a patron for all that extra content.
And if you enjoy the wheels falling off, we can guarantee it absolutely will happen on Patreon.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
If you think we go on some tangents on this show,
holy shit. We might actually book out a deathmatch E-Fed. That'd be a hell of an idea after the last show. Anyway, shall we do it, buddy?
Let's get into Uncensored 99.
This episode of Days of Thunder is brought to you by the fine people at HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Get farm-fresh seasonal produce and easy-to-make recipes delivered right to your door every week. It's all about convenience with HelloFresh. Not only do the ingredients come pre-portioned so you're not overbuying or wasting food, but it's easier than ever to get filling meals on the table in a snap with options like family-friendly or quick and easy recipes. To avail of the offer that HelloFresh have made to you, the Days of Thunder listener, please go to hellofresh.com/VOW16 and use the code VOW16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's hellofresh.com/VOW16. Use promo code VOW16. That's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Now back to the lads. Okay, this is Uncensored 99 from Louisville, Kentucky, 14th of March, 1999. And, like, do you know something that for some reason I could not get out of my head at the start of this show is that it is I believe, the same building in which just about a year later, old Bugger Red himself, The Undertaker, returned at Judgment Day. It was in Louisville.
Was it?
Yeah, because do you remember, I think in the show opener, Team Eck did the jug band 5-second pose for Louisville.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Jeez,
so,
of all the things to come up in your mind.
When I was, so what age would I have been? Like 10, 11-ish when Judgment Day 2000 happened. I watched that VHS when I got it so many times over. I was 10-year-old me was so into Booger Red Undertaker. I've no reasonable defense against it.
And to this day, Dave is the biggest Kid Rock fan in Ireland.
Oh, 100%. Ball with the ball and all that. Hang
on. I'm going to jump in and say I have my son listen to that about 2 years ago. And let me say, my wife was not impressed the first time she was in the car and that song played.
She filed for custody. Yeah, I think like for most of 2000 I was super into The Undertaker, even though he was shit. And I think I finally, like, even though I don't know why I completely fell off him, but Survivor Series 2000 with the snakeskin trousers is like the last time I remember being like, this guy is cool. When he got those snakeskin trousers, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is Uncensored 99. And I hope, Lee, that you like moody cage construction videos, because they're back with a fucking vengeance on Uncensored.
What was with all the video packages on this show? People have already bought the pay-per-view. You don't have to show the same video packages again.
Dude, like, I am totally on board with play the hype package before the match. Mm-hmm. I think with the right video package and the right match, that gets you and the people in the building at a fever pitch waiting to see.
Yeah, and it also gives a buffer between the match that just ended. And that I get that. 100% understand that.
Yeah, but you are showing, like, none of this, especially, I will get to it when the cage match happens. They are building this up like people are going to be shocked and awed by what they see. This cage is going to traumatize your fucking children. That's how scary it is. And it's not like that. Like,
well, I mean, there's a moment in the cage match that definitely would have traumatized children.
So, Tony calls this the most unpredictable, most dangerous, most mind-boggling pay-per-view of the year, and in some cases that last one is particularly true. I do love his description of trying to put over the matches on the show by saying, tonight you will see many bizarre stipulations.
I love that fact that he called it the most mind-boggling pay-per-view of the year. He has no idea what's to come in 1999.
Oh no. He fucking wishes. Mean Gene reminds us that tonight all matches are unsanctioned, in spite of there being many World Championship Wrestling belts being defended on said unsanctioned show.
And WCW referees and officials.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously plugs the hotline, all that good shit. We then immediately get another video package for Nash and Ray, which isn't happening for a while.
Yep.
You really should, like, I am absolutely, and like I said, I love video packages, but when you start the show, once you've done video package to open the show,
into the
pyro, commentators, match.
Yeah. You have to start off with a match.
And it has to be a hot match. And I am pleased to report that this opener, for me anyway, was a hot opener. And this was the World Cruiserweight title as Billy Kidman defended against a randomly debuting in WCW right now, Mikey Whipwreck.
Mikey coming out without music totally kills Bam Bam Bigelow's gimmick. It wasn't like Mike,
because they've didn't Hack come out with no music the first week, and then they gave him music straight away because there was already a guy with no music, and now there's another guy with no music.
Like, are we supposed to believe Mikey just showed up backstage and like, give me a title match?
Certainly, if you weren't familiar with Mikey Whipwreck and how he dresses himself, you would think he had just showed up and found like a couple of spare knee pads lying around, because it's, for the uninitiated in WCW, he looks like shit. in terms of like his dress sense. It's very authentic to Mikey Whipwreck, and if you're invested in that guy, it's pretty cool to see. This is fucking Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah, it's full on Mikey Whipwreck in WCW. But
yeah,
like he has knee pads over his boots because can he not afford kick pads?
Evidently not.
Or do you think Mikey saw Ahmed Johnson in 1996 and said, "Oh man, look at all those elbow pads on his knees. I need to do that."
So at first I was worried for Mikey because again, there was some people who knew who he was, but like by and large the crowd were kind of like, they were definitely into Kidman obviously at the start, but they didn't know what to make of Mikey Whipwreck. And also you had Heenan on commentary who thought the funniest thing in the world was not being able to say his name right. So you had him doing things like calling him Shipwreck and like, is he going to get the win here? Is he going to be on Gilligan's Island? Shit like that. Mikey Whipwreck, only 25 years old at the time.
No, he's not.
The road will own you.
Jesus Christ. I would have said mid-30s.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed this match.
I thought, yeah, it was really good.
It's the only match that like got near notebook levels from the Observer. This was 3.5 stars. It was the only one to rank in or close to that on the show by the looks of it.
Well, I mean, Dave is obviously wrong.
I thought Whipwreck put in a great showing here.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about someone coming in and getting instant credibility for like going toe to toe with a guy who's been like, for as much as we say WCW haven't elevated somebody, like in the past 8 months they've really done a great job elevating Billy Kidman.
Yeah. Kidman has been against guys where you've seen him like outwork, out-wrestle, out-flip dudes. And the early minute or two immediately establishes Mikey's credibility because Kidman is trying all that shit and Mikey is keeping pace with him.
Exactly, yeah.
And throwing in some of his own stuff. And he hits a couple of cool moves in here. Like he does this like springboard knee to Kidman's face while he's like dangling on the ropes and like it sends both of them going arse over T Kettle to the floor. That looked cool as shit. And what I really appreciated from Mikey's work here, and obviously, Kidman, a great dance partner and a really good sympathetic babyface. Whipwreck, going from most of the crowd not knowing who he was, immediately established as a heel in this and getting over as a heel.
And instantly, because of that, every time Kidman is on offense, the crowd are up and they're loud and they're into this.
Yeah. It's great because, when there's like a hot babyface in there with a heel that no one cares about, you can tell the difference between that and when people do invest in the heel. And that's, we've talked about the Chavo thing before, where like the babyface is on offense and everybody's hot. And as soon as, Chavo, in the example I've suggested, goes on offense, the crowd completely dies. Well, in this case, you had, yes, the crowd was absolutely hot for Kidman when he was doing this shit. But there were moments of genuine like gasps and people thinking that Kidman was in legitimate danger within a few minutes of this match. He does like a variation on an Indian deathlock where he's pulling Kidman's hair instead of like locking under the chin. Yeah. And it looks really good. And that got a shriek from the crowd. He also did like a slingshot leg drop for a near fall and people bought it. Because I suppose that's one of the benefits that somebody that establishes himself as a heel without people having seen them before is no one knows what his finish is. There's that small element of the crowd that do.
Anything realistically could be the finisher. Especially because they're cruiserweights as well. Yeah. Which is something we've seen previously, like Kidman or Hoovy like has 2 finishes. Ray can kind of hit a Hurricane Rana from anywhere. Stuff like that. So Mikey coming in and just getting a flash pin on Kidman to win the belt wouldn't be out of question.
No, absolutely not. So like it's back and forth and the crowd is really, really hot for it. And big dive to the outside from Kidman, like, and he jumps quite far on this springboard and he works that he's hurt his knee. They get back up to the apron, and I gotta try to describe this, that like he drapes Kidman over the middle rope with the top half of his body kind of leaning into the ring, and then slingshots over with a leg drop. It looked really fucking good. Disgusting. Looked disgusting in the best way. Kidman makes a comeback. There's a shooting star press attempt. And I think the most, was this a shoot shove I've seen in a long time, where, like somebody goes up and they do the dramatically fall onto the ropes and that crotches them. Like, Mikey gets up and fucking yeets Kidman off the top rope, and he splats on the fence outside. It looked great.
Yeah. It's just things like that, like, really added to the match, I thought. Like you say, it's the first time you've looked at it and went, Jesus, that actually could have been a legit shove.
Yeah. They go over the fence then, and they kind of do a couple of spots in the crowd. I was worried that they were going to spend a long time up in the crowd, as a match does later on, but thankfully they didn't, because me and crowd brawling. So they get back into the ring. There's a moment that I completely bought that this was the start of Kidman's comeback, where he runs at Whipwreck full steam ahead, and I didn't even realise the camera positioning was fantastic for this, because then Whipwreck immediately does a drop toe hold.
So good.
Camera pans down to just as his mush hits the steps.
So good, yeah.
Really good bit of camera work there. So he rolls him back in for a 2 count. Something else I gotta say. So like, we talked about Whipwreck's gear, but like his makeup physically, like he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not the buffest guy in the world, the fastest guy in the world. Like his whole thing in WCW is like, he's just a guy. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's where the endearing babyface thing came from. Is like, he's just a normal dude who won't fucking give up no matter how much he gets the shit beat out of him. So with that said, it was really interesting for me to see him as the bully in this match, because that's what he's doing in the moments where he's on top. He's just kind of like, slapping Kidman around, and again he's putting on all these holds where he's doing a little bit of the hair pulling, just a little bit of heel work, but not like, playing to the cheap seats heel level.
It's not something that he could have possibly done in ECW, so it is quite startling to see him come into WCW and instantly be that guy. Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, like, obviously the booking of Mikey Whipwreck was something that people still talk about to this day in ECW. So I'm not necessarily saying, he should have come in and they should have booked him exactly like that all over again in front of a bigger audience. But often, sometimes when you give someone a complete departure in their first match somewhere else, it's a real sink or swim thing, and I think he did really well here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, all throughout this match, he was right there with Kidman, and because he was so good at what he was doing, the fans were there for Kidman, like, throughout the whole match. I think it's just after they get back into the ring, Mikey does like this kind of snap swinging neckbreaker.
Yeah.
And it's at this point in the match that Heenan, to his credit, starts putting over Mikey.
Yeah. By about like halfway to 2/3 of the way through the match, like, he's doing things where he's like, I really like this guy. Even I think slightly earlier when he takes that big bump off the Kidman dive, even Heenan's like, God, this guy, like, he keeps coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he proper respects his hustle. There's two matches on this show where Heenan starts off not interested and he gets turned around completely by the end of it. And we'll talk about the other one later on.
It's almost like good wrestling appeals to, veterans in the business.
Yeah, or like, just, you can tell how much, everybody knows that by the end, Tony and Brain are completely checked out on the company. But you can tell even at this stage how refreshing it is for the commentary team to have something different, someone different, something to talk about that isn't like the same, what's Hogan doing this week, So belly to back off the top, where I thought Kidman spiked himself for a second. It was a great angle and sold incredibly well.
And again, that's not something you see very often, because Kidman does the kind of inside out bump. He doesn't actually fall with Mikey. He kind of does the kind of inside out German bump where he pancakes on his front. A a really good move. You don't see that very often. I will say I thought that all these kind of near falls from Mikey, because he has a good 3 or 4 like believable near falls on Kidman. Again, just does a really good job putting over Kidman's character of the resilient babyface who just won't give up, never stops fighting. Yeah. And I love the finish because what's the thing everyone says? It's a meme at this stage. You don't powerbomb Kidman. Yeah. And that plays into the finish.
I think that, you know, we kind of clowned on when we were doing the predict the matches game at the end, like Mikey fucking Whipwreck showing up out of nowhere, unadvertised at this pay-per-view. But you know what? I'll throw my hands up. They nailed it for this. Like, it was a perfect matchup of these two guys, just like you said there. Like, it played into both the characters they want to get over here. And we see Whipwreck a little bit later on where you can tell the idea they have with him. But anyway, powerbomb reversal, as you said, shooting star press, and a win. Excellent little opener. This is, you know, I feel like monthly at this stage we talk about the art of the opener, and this is what I want.
They really nailed it on this one. And you know, the cruiserweight title throughout this run by Kidman, ever since he's got it, has really felt like important on every show it's been on.
So we go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Next, a double-barreled. One after the other segments of shite, as we get 2 video packages. One is a Vincent and Stevie package. Vince's promo, awful. Not going to spend any time on it. It was awful, trust me. But I did like Stevie Ray, who is just coming off as Vince is very annoying and I want to hit him.
I mean, we can all relate to that.
I feel that deep in my bones. Then more dramatic cage construction before we settle into the Matt Classic, the Harlem Street Fight for control of NWO Black and White, Vince versus Stevie Ray. Jesus.
Is this worse than any Finlay match we've had on the show?
I will say this for the match. It was short. The only thing I can say that maybe Finlay has had a worse match that we watched is Finlay's matches have definitely felt longer.
Yes.
Mechanically, definitely not as bad. But in terms of how much of my life I feel went into them, there's an argument to be had there.
And I will say Finlay's matches have killed entire shows. This, I don't think, killed the entire show.
It nearly killed me. But yeah, Vince comes out and his graphic still says Vincent because he is a chump. As soon as this match begins, it goes straight out of the ring for some smoke and mirrors, crowd brawling bullshit, which I have to really fight my brain not to just pick up the phone and just start scrolling during these. I try very hard to pay complete attention to these pay-per-views, and it's my job. It's my job. I try. It has not always worked, but I do try. Vince does take a pretty funny leaping bump over the rails after an uppercut, like a proper cartoon cell. Like he just, you know, jumped on a stick of dynamite or something like that, or an Acme spring or something. They go up into the crowd, and maybe the biggest laugh I had in this match, completely unintentional on their part, was they go to this cordoned off section where the hard cam is going to be, so they don't have like seats that people can sit in, so they're all folded down flat on the ground, and Vince just keeps falling over. They're trying to walk across and do a few crowd brawling spots on it, but Vince just keeps losing his footing over and over again. I don't know whether they had to cut that segment short because they just bail out the side after he falls maybe for the 3rd time.
Yeah, Stevie nearly goes on his fucking arse when he tries to throw a super or a side kick at Vince and thinks the better of it.
Now, I will say, to this point in the match, it's just been boring, but not like, what are these two men doing in the ring bad? Right, and in what's about to follow, I don't want you to think I'm blaming Stevie for any of this. But I was literally in the middle of typing going, this isn't a complete write-off, when the following things happened. Stevie does a kind of like powerful whip into the turnbuckle. So they're back in the ring. Whips Vince as hard as he can. The spot is supposed to be, near as I can tell, that Vince is supposed to wait there, and as Stevie comes charging in, he throws an elbow back. Right? But what actually happens is, in between the time the whip spot is called and the whip part of the spot is delivered, Vince completely forgets what he's supposed to be doing, and he just starts wandering off. He goes into the turnbuckle and just starts, like, I wouldn't even call it staggering because that is ascribing too much credit to him. He just starts like walking backwards, completely like a lost little boy in the supermarket. And then Stevie has already started his charge, and you have this moment of panic as like, do I just fucking stop dead and draw attention to this, or do I try to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear here? And unfortunately, it's one of those occasions where I think Stevie got caught in between two thoughts. And Stevie is not the kind of guy you want in this situation to try and adjust a match on the fly. But what he essentially does is he jogs lightly into Vince's elbow, which has not been raised up for the elbow strike. It's still down by his side. So like Stevie kind of jogs and then ducks his head into the elbow, takes a ridiculous bump, like just a proper, like, I've been hit in the face with a ball peen hammer, flat back bump, right? And then Vince, seeing this, I can only describe it as he turns around and proceeds to leap face first onto Stevie's shin.
Yeah, Vince can't even get the low blow part of the spot right.
No. Luckily, you'll never hear me say luckily in relation to Horace very often, but luckily the crowd doesn't have time to dwell on what the fuck just happened, because just as they're about to be like, what? Horace runs out. Completely distracts everybody. He throws the slapjack in the ring, shouts down the camera, I don't care who knocks who out, I'm the leader. Please no one tell him what the stip of this match is then. Vince attempts to use the slapjack, but he gets disarmed. He like gets kicked and the slapjack goes dramatically flying. And then Stevie hits his slapjack finish. And Lee, do you want to describe what this slapjack looked like?
Shit is what it looked like. I mean, look, Vince has no right being in a wrestling ring at this point. I mean, he was never a great wrestler. But at this point in 1999, with the roster WCW had available to it, why in anybody's mind did they think putting Stevie Ray, who was no great worker himself.
No.
He can do enough to have a good match, but he
is like in the Jim Neidhart category. Yes. He can be a great heavy in a tag team. Mm-hmm. He knows enough to not embarrass himself in those situations. But like as a singles guy or as a ring general, as he was forced to be in this, no good.
Yeah, it's one of the worst executed finishes I think I've ever seen. It's just so bad. And I'm just thankful we'll never have to watch it ever again.
Yeah. Like for this slapjack, people usually like they throw their whole bodies up.
Yeah.
You know, in the air. They are as close to vertical as they can reasonably get. Like
it's Cesaro's, what's he called?
Neutralizer.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes. Vince, however, barely like flicked his legs. Mm-hmm. Like if he had leaped this far off the ground, he would not have cleared like a chihuahua that was standing there.
My God. Yeah.
It was bad. It was really, really bad. And Stevie, as he's leaving the ring, Like, I genuinely couldn't tell. Was he trying to sell the Horace thing, or was it just the face of a man who knows he had an absolute stinker? I absolutely sympathise, and like we said, he's not fucking Ric Flair. But
I think it's the face of a man who knows that this was just absolute dirt and feels bad for the fans.
It was so bad. It was so unbelievably, unmitigatedly terrible. Next, we have Jericho in the internet location with Mark Madden. And Mark Madden is very much like... to say he is buried up Chris Jericho's hole would be an understatement here.
Yeah, Mark Madden doing all he can to get himself over in this segment more than the wrestler.
Yeah. It was like... I'm dreading the days of TV's best looking big man. This was very much, you know what, like, it was the unironic and unfunny version of, like, he may as well have sat there and be like, Mr. Jericho, your campaign seems to have the momentum of a runaway freight train. Why are you so popular?
Yeah, this was very much the patter of a man who knows that Jericho is over on the internet and wants to appeal 100%. To that fan base himself.
Yep. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Anyway, moving swiftly on, we have Kevin Nash with Lex Luger and Miss Elizabeth versus Rey Mysterio Jr. Holy hell, this is like night and day in terms of star power for the pop Kevin Nash gets here. This is like top tier. I was
stunned this match was on so early in the card.
Yeah, I thought semi-main this had written all over, because it's one of the best promoted angles on the whole. Like, unless Nash was like, I'm just hitting the showers and going to the bar.
That was the point I was exactly on to make. I think Nash had fucking somewhere you wanted to be.
Yeah. That said, though, right, so Ray gets a big reaction too. I think this is, in the run of WCW we've had so far, maybe it's a controversial one, Lee. If I'm speaking out of school, let me know. I think this is one of my favourite Kevin Nash performances in a match.
I thought you were going to say Rey Mysterio, and I was really thinking about it.
No.
I mean,
I don't. It's hard with Ray, because Ray has had some fucking bangers on our run. But like Nash,
I mean, listen, I wouldn't rule out it being one of Ray's better matches as well. Like, Ray's had some really good matches. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I thought this was really, really good.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think this was like the best of Nash as main event level scary monster. You know,
like it's the small things in this, because Nash comes out and the commentators are very quick to point out is the difference in his demeanor between this month and last month. Like, he's taking this seriously. He's here to win the match. He, sees Ray as a threat at this point. And it's stuff like that. And like, he doesn't treat Ray as a cruiserweight. He treats Ray as an equal and just fucking pummels him. And there's some great looking moves in between. It's a really, really good match.
Yeah, 100%. Let's walk us through it a little bit. So Nash is confident that he's going to get his win back here. Early on, he is just absolutely hoofing Ray around the ring. Huge Beal at one point. He sends him into orbit.
Even before that, I love the first move. Ray, one thing they really established in the Nitro matches, Ray used his pace over Nash to really get him off balance. Mm-hmm. So the first thing Ray does is run at Nash, and he just eats a big boot. It's so good. Yeah.
Really, really good. And it plays into the big boot comes around again later in the match. So then, in the middle of all this, I'm being a big scary monster. This is going to be easy. Nash is feeling his oats. He thinks he's going to make quick work of this. Ray reverses one of his Nash's throw or slam attempts into a bulldog. While Nash is kind of stunned, he lightning quick guillotine leg drop and then spinning wheel kicks him over the top rope. And Nash's reaction, as well as the crowd think they're about to see it happen again.
See,
And Nash is selling it like he has got the fear of God.
But see, it's that exact sequence that knocked him down on the Nitro. It was the wheelbarrow, the leg drop, and the spinning wheel kick in the middle of the ring that bumped Nash. So it's like great callbacks as well as really good action.
Yeah, it's the rare bit of actual, like...
This is storytelling. That all the WWE fans will tell you.
In a Nash match.
This is storytelling.
Yeah. Baseball slide fake out. I love this. He does the fake out, and then he goes a second time, nails him. But then Ray's getting a bit too confident. He goes to the well again to like run and do some sort of kick. And Nash, in one swift movement, grabs him and fucks him into the railing on the outside. And this is where the momentum shifts yet again. Nash now gives off the persona of being like the lion playing with his food. And I love this shit. And this is where I wrote, this is the best Nash has looked on our run. He looks cool, he looks dominant, and he looks like a monster. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is a believable world champion level heel. You know,
it's amazing that he was world champion only a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I know. Like, if you said that, like, after this match, I'd be like, this guy should be the champion. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when it actually happened, I was like, oh, fuck's sake. Anyway, he goes for a tilt-a-whirl attempt. Ray lands on his feet and immediately punts Nash as hard as he can in the balls. Brilliant. Hits a drop kick to the head for a 2 count. Bronco Buster. And this is cool because it's like, again, Ray is doing the thing he did in the match where he got the flash pin. Is like, don't give this fucker a second. So, drop kick to the head. Bronco Buster, which gets a huge reaction. Then he goes for the top rope moonsault and he gets caught, as he has before. But he wriggles out this time. Then, as you think, okay, maybe there's going to be some hope here. Maybe Ray's going to score the win again. Nash is arguing with the ref, and you can see Ray knows he's distracted and he's going to try and take advantage of this. But as he goes to run the ropes, Luger trips Ray. He gets annihilated by a big boot. The straps come down. And one of the most sickening release jackknife powerbombs. Ray's head at the apex of his fall must have been nearly 8 feet in the air.
Yeah, because Nash doesn't let him fall. He kind of, it's not a border toss, but he definitely throws him a little bit.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I also think it was an incredibly safe bump. Yeah. It just looks cool as fuck. I thought it's just brilliant.
He's definitely angling it so that Ray is completely safe. You know what I mean? It looks devastating, but not in a way that I hope Ray didn't get absolutely fucked by that. I'm sure it didn't feel nice, but I don't think it was dangerous by any means. It wasn't the shoot Ganso bomb on the giant
but
I think that's going to be the brass ring of sickening jackknife spots forever.
Again, I just think it makes Nash looks like such a fucking killer. That his finish, like his finisher, just looks so devastating.
Yeah, I know. It's like it is that, and like this is something the outsiders have, and it's that the jackknife and the outsider edge
instant
are
death.
Fucking cool as shit. Instant death finishers that are heavily protected as well. You know, it's unreal. But here's what I love as well. Sorry, there's the story of what happened at the finish with Luger as well. So yes, Ray lost and Nash got his win back, but the story you can spin out of this is the cool, big monster heel needed his buddy to help him beat the tiny boy.
It was still 3-on-1 against the Cruiserweight. Or sorry, he's still the Cruiserweight. But yeah, no, it was just, it really did a good job establishing Ray. Like, he's had all these wins. But even in defeat, he kind of gets over even more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we then get a video package for the triangle hardcore match later. It's the same one we saw in Thunder. Not really worth talking about. Before we go into our 2-on-1 handicap match, that is Sonny Ono and the Cat versus Jerry Flynn. Commentary informs us that on Nitro, Jerry Flynn had his ponytail clipped by Sonny Ono. The cat is out in a poncho and a cowboy hat. It's a strong look and not the last poncho of this program. Jerry Flynn starts the match very aggressive. Barrage on the cat, but he gets jumped while attempting to goozle Sonny on the side. A cat, as we saw in the handicap match on Thunder, Cat is trying to go, oh, look, it's your time to come in the ring and shit like that. And he's just like, nope, I don't want to do that just yet. No, thank you. Absolute snooze of a match. Crowd is dead. I don't have a huge amount to say about this.
This match, again, has no place on pay-per-view at this point in WCW. Jay Flynn has never been over. Sonny Ono is just... I hate to say, like, he's not... Like, he's not over. Like, himself and the cat as a pairing just isn't working, I don't think. Like, apart from giving us a few giggles with, you know, the boy and all Glacier stuff and that. But, like, the cat himself has shown way more charisma at this point. That he doesn't need Sonny Ono anymore. So it's just a total waste of paper.
It's a real sore thumb thing.
Yeah.
You know? And we're not saying, like, you know, put the strap on the cat once you get him off Sonny, but he has absolutely outgrown having Sonny as his manager.
And look, this just... Like, pay-per-views are only... I mean, I know it was every month at this point in WCW, but, like, it's still rarefied air. You need to be putting your best stuff on pay-per-view. This is barely a Nitro match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's for sure. And it's just like I appreciate that for a month they tried to do something with Jerry Flynn, but like the crowd just aren't into it. Like they know this is just a program to keep Cat busy. He's the one that's heading on to bigger and better things. So Cat eventually whips Jerry hard into the corner, delivers a rebound feliner. Sonny feels confident enough to tag in and pin Jerry, but he kicks out and nearly gets Sonny before he tags the Cat in. We go to the outside. Jerry Flynn reverses a corner whip and launches the Cat into Sonny. So I thought this was actually like a pretty clever way to get Sonny into the match, even though he didn't want to, is to like basically throw the Cat as hard as he could at Sonny. They make contact, the ref calls it an official tag, and the same bump sends Sonny flying into the ring, whereupon Flynn just pins Sonny. But so Cat, like if this was a shoot, you know, Cat's attempt at breaking up a pin is very realistic, but I think it was so close to the 3 that the crowd didn't pop for the finish because they thought it was, you know, 2.99.
See, I think they didn't pop for the finish because they didn't care.
Oh, well, there's that too, but people will still do a kind of polite cheer for a babyface winning, usually, but this was kind of just, oh, is it over? Oh, the music's playing. It's over. Cool. Whatever. We then get a tag title package. Hennig says the tag title is the only belt that's touching Barry Windham's back tonight is the tag team title. Tony rather ominously says there's going to be a lot of smacking later. So make of that what you will. Next up, it's our Falls Count Anywhere triangle match: Bam Bam Bigelow versus Hack versus Raven with Chastity. This was, as we identified in the build-up to the pay-per-view, your high-ceiling, low-floor match of the night candidate here. And Lee, can I shock you?
Go. I don't think you're going to shock me, but go for it. Go on.
I loved this with all my heart.
I thought this was great. It was the right kind of ridiculous. This is exactly what I want.
Yes. This is like, so you know, obviously the garbage match style becomes in vogue over the next couple of years, and you know, a lot of them are just shite filler. This was one that was just awful. Sorry, not... Usually, what I meant to say, usually they're awful. This was one that absolutely wasn't. This was an absolute banger. From pretty much start to finish, I think.
Yeah, they literally just go to the ring with the intention of just... They fall over everything. They hit the most random moves. They just take turns hitting each other as hard as they can.
Mm-hmm.
There's tables that don't break. There's ironing boards. There's fans. There's kendo sticks. fire extinguisher. Like, it's just so... It's so totally different to anything we have seen in WCW up to this point.
But you can also see where so many matches like fall into these, like a lot of the things in this match become tropes that get worn out. So like every man for himself in the first couple of seconds, and then the camera cuts to the ramp and Chastity is running down with like a giant laundry trolley full of garbage, like plunder. So, like, obviously, by the time Raven is in the Fed, he's doing the bringing the shopping cart down to the ring full of plunder thing. And, you know, again, like I said, that's when, you know, by the end of his run is when everybody's really sick of hardcore matches. But here, it's a relative novelty. Trash can lid concertos delivered by Raven before he takes a full can flying to the forehead. Hack then becomes intimate with an ironing board, we'll say. Falls back onto it, and it looks real bad.
I think that was when we got the first ECW chant.
Yes, there are multiple ones in this match. This match, like, look, now that we know things and everything like that, I am very much... I don't like unprotected chair shots.
Yeah.
I do not like them. However, they've already happened, like over 20 years ago. There's no point in me getting in a flap about it. And, you know, I often think of our friend Benno who says, look, these idiots have decided to fucking do this. So, like, you might as well enjoy it because it's too late. You're not, like, it's happened. You're not going to talk them out of it.
That is true. But I will say it was the one part of the match where I just went, oh, God, that's really going to...
There's one particular...
Yeah, sorry. There's one moment towards the close of the match.
Yes.
Where I was just like, that's really going to leave a lasting impression after this match.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite literally. In that person's case that it happens to. So yeah, just a downright refusal for anyone in this match to put their hands up. Raven and Hack both start to attempt to take out Bam Bam. They both so Hack leaps on his back to go do a sleeper, and then Raven leaps on Hack's back, and they both just go arse over tea kettle onto the floor over him, which pops the announcers.
I will say the announcers were loving this.
So this is Tenay and Tony were loving it early doors. And I think after maybe the second or third crazy spot, Heenan was he was baying for blood. He was just like, this is great. Mm-hmm. He was having a ball during this. Hack hits a top rope Frankensteiner, which got the crowd to pop, you know. Then what looks like and would prove to be a very uncomfortable looking table comes out from underneath the ring, which encourages more ECW chants. Mm-hmm. Raven helps Bam Bam powerbomb Hack through the table, which doesn't fucking budge 1 inch.
Yeah, you want to talk about not budging. Like, normally when a table doesn't break, you can see it start to crack. This table had to be like an inch thick.
Yeah, this is a Japanese table on steroids. Like, this was like solid to the point where what it took was Hack is just splayed out dead on the table, and Bam Bam, ever the pro, is just like, fuck this, we're breaking this table, gets back up on the top rope and does a splash, and it takes the force of Bam Bam landing on Hack on the table to break the table, and it doesn't even explode, it just it just snaps.
Yeah.
Fucking one hell of a table. He breaks up. So Raven tries to steal a pin after that. After he does the splash, he kind of rolls out of the way. Raven tries to steal a pin, which is funny. Hack then gets the cane. He's like, right, I'm taking the big fucker out, and just wails on Bam Bam's leg with the Singapore cane. Chastity then attempts to get in the way of Hack doing the same thing to Raven, but Raven tosses her to the side and eats a cane shot to the face. Chastity appears to be up to something outside the ring. She's getting something as Bam Bam takes out 2 more tables. When he takes out 2 more tables, maybe my line of the night from Tony very seriously goes, there must have been buffet before the show.
Yeah, that was the one particular line I wrote down as well from the commentary in this match. Just a very earnest thing for Tony to just go like, oh, but there has to be an explanation for the tables under the ring.
Yeah. He's more miffed he wasn't invited than anything else. Bam Bam gets whipped by the other two guys into a table, and it just crumples on impact.
Again, doesn't fully break.
No. It's just like the sheer metric tonnage of Bam Bam folds it in, but it doesn't like explode like you would expect. Then, even flow on Hack, and what Chastity had been preparing was masking tape. Bear in mind, this is 2 months after Royal Rumble 99. So, he uses the electrical tape to handcuff Hack. You all probably know where this is going. And then hits him with 4, count them, 4 massive, brain-scrambling chair shots to the head.
It's the one moment I felt uncomfortable.
All of which, I think, definitely at least 3 of which, Hack leaned into.
Yeah, look, it comes back to the point that you just made. Even if you were there at the time, you weren't talking these dopes out of doing this.
No. Particularly this one. I don't imagine.
And look, they're both still here. Well, Sandman is still here. He doesn't...
What happened to Raven?
No, well, I mean, he's the one doling them out. He's not taking them on this occasion.
It just made it sound like you were like, the other 2 are dead. I don't think Bam Bam is. But did I miss
Raven
something?
refuses to acknowledge us, so he's dead to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
But no, like, I mean, yeah, it's that thing of should I, like I said, I felt uncomfortable watching it because unprotected chair shots, and it's just like it's so out of context to what we expect in wrestling now. But yeah, at the time, I mean, one of the big stars in wrestling in like all of American media at the time was Mick Foley, and that fucker was taking unprotected chair shots. So like,
and this is obviously what it was evoking.
Yeah, it's like, so who am I to tell the Sandman he shouldn't do it?
100%. Immediately after that, though, I love Raven turns around into the fastest greetings from Asbury Park you've ever seen. Like, he got that fucker up, and he spiked him. The crowd at this point are baying for blood, as is Bobby Heenan. So Chastity is doing something over by the laundry box, and Bam Bam sprays in her direction, and she appears to like fall into the box. So
what happened was Raven got hit with the greetings, and he kind of rolled or was positioned under a table in the corner, and Bam Bam was going to moonsault off the top rope through the table to presumably murder Raven. But instead, she
pops out of the box like fucking Bosco. Like, hello, children! Sprays him in the face with the fire extinguisher. He takes a bump back through the 3rd table, and then she gets into the ring, sprays Raven. He takes a bump. She does the Raven pose into a headbutt to the balls.
Football to the groin still.
Football to the groin. Hack pins him and wins. And in, I think, my biggest pop of the night, she screams, "Idiot," down the camera and at Raven like she's fucking Dennis Reynolds. And I lost it. That match ruled.
Yeah, that's so good. And you will be pleased to know that at Spring Stampede next month, there's another similar match. Which is possibly even better.
And this is the thing. So, like, it's entirely this kind of, it's like any style of wrestling. And I think something I'm a big advocate of, and, I look at wrestling Twitter all the time, the cesspool that it can be. And I think people get fairly myopic about they get lost in cycles of the kind of wrestling I enjoy is how wrestling should be done. That its most high profile exponent of that mentality is Jim Cornette. If it's not Jim Cornette, or Lance Storm is another one as well. If it's not the brand of wrestling I personally like, it's not worth it. I'm somebody who, like I said at the top of the show, I like trying to expose myself to as many different styles as possible. And I think any genre, any type of wrestling, all the way from like shoot style shit, all the way to ridiculous comedy wrestling, and any point in between, can be really good if the right people are doing it and putting it together. I completely understand there are people who won't like this garbage brawling, but when it's done right, I absolutely love it. And you could tell me, Lee, on this show that you gave this anywhere between like 1.5 and 4 stars, and I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of fits depending on your specific feelings towards this type of match. I thought this was just the absolute perfect kind of ridiculous for this position on this card, and it worked totally.
It's the classic your mileage may vary sort of match, but I personally loved it. You loved it. We had a great time. This was probably the most fun I had watching something on this, even though the next match is, undeniably a much better wrestling match. I don't think I had as much fun as I did watching the hardcore match. We then get back to the commentators, and Heenan is in a huff with Tony and turns his back on him. And I love this because for a second I couldn't tell if it was one of those moments where they genuinely were annoyed at each other or not, until the very end when Tony pops huge because he saw that Brain still hadn't turned around.
No, see, what happened was he turned around and had to get Tony to move out of his way so he could turn around, which almost broke Tenay, because for the first 15 seconds Tenay is trying desperately not to laugh.
Yeah, but also Tenay is like, I think he's looking straight down the camera, so he's not fully. Because he knows
if he looks at Heenan, he's going to break.
Yeah.
So Tony throws it to Tenay after he's made whatever point he's making. He throws it to Tenay to talk, and at this point, him and Heenan start gesturing at each other. Tony is telling him, like, you have to turn around. He's like, no, I have to broadcast. I don't have to look a specific way. I can see the ring from here.
Yeah.
And when Tony says, that's fine, he says, okay, the tag title match is up next. This is where Heenan proceeds to turn around. He hits his knee on the table, and that breaks Tony. As the camera cuts away, you see Tony is in
That's what it was, yeah. Yeah. Let's from the goofy Three Stooges act, we move into the most serious wrestling match of the night. And it is the WCW World Tag Team Titles Lumberjack with Straps match. As Barry Windham and Kurt Hennig are champions against the Four Horsemen represented by Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko. And Lee, I saw a post of yours in the Discord. We have our own channel in the Voices of Wrestling Discord, which I would urge you all to please join. We have been having some good chats in there recently. But I saw a message from you in there that leads me to believe I should be handing control of walking through this match to you. So, without further ado, my friend, take the wheel.
Yeah, so this match was the match that I was probably anticipating most coming into the show anyway. I've been very, we were super critical of the fucking dumb tournament. They really fucked up the beginning of the tournament. But we gave them credit. They got it back by the end.
Fucked it up so bad they had to do it again.
Yeah, but they got it back by the end, and they ended up having a really good pay-per-view match to crown the new champions.
Yes.
And unbelievably, they used the end of that match to build to this match, because straight away they had the attack with the leather straps in the back after the which they showed on the next Nitro, like where you see Malenko and Benoit attacking Hennig and Windham backstage with the belts, and they've just been going back and forward for the last couple of weeks trying to hit each other with the leather belts or whatever.
Yeah.
So they've, to their credit, really done a great job building up this feud. I think the Horsemen, or Malenko and Benoit in particular, have been on fire as baby faces. Really, really gotten over strong with the crowd.
Not on the mic.
No,
yes, in the ring.
Malenko was still a bit lost in that regard.
I mean, it's not like fucking Benoit's far behind him in that regard.
I mean, if only they had a mouthpiece there that could do all the talking for them.
Or two.
Listen, it's a mystery.
Even fucking Mongo as their mouthpiece would have been a better shout.
But anyway, this match, it's something that I've been taking notice of ever since he's come back. And I know he had that like weird angle where he was in the NWO for like 2 weeks or something. But ever since Barry Windham has re-emerged, I've been really impressed. Like, I remember hearing like people like, oh, Barry Windham was finished as a wrestler by like 1991.
Yeah.
And to an extent, I can see why people would think that, because he never really reached the heights of what he was in the late 80s.
Yeah, and you know, like, I think the commentary spells it out very well as well. There's one point where Heenan and Tenay, I think, are talking about, like, when this guy burst on the scene all those years ago, he was a fucking prodigy, and we thought he might become the greatest of all time.
Like, they mentioned that, like, his dad brought him into wrestling, and everyone instantly went, my God, this guy is going to be phenomenal. And he was for a time.
Yeah.
But ever since, like, what was it? It was like early January or something whenever he came back. Every match he's been in, yeah, his cardio wasn't always there.
Yeah.
But really, in the last couple of weeks, he's been on it. And I think at this point in 1999, he could still be one of the best wrestlers in WCW for the style that they were working at this point. He's not going to go out and do 40 minutes with Flair, but he doesn't need to.
No, not in this era.
Like,
and you know what I'll say to his credit as well? It's revitalized Kurt Hennig.
It really has. Like, we thought we were going to get the Hennig and Rude team, and unfortunately, Rick Rude passed away. And it really looked like that's the direction they were going at one point in 1998. But Wyndham coming in and being Henning's little running buddy was just such... It's like genius, the way they kind of seamlessly brought it all together. And
100%,
you want to talk about taking two veterans that add so much to a roster and can still play a role. Like, I honestly, like... I don't think people give Barry and Kurt enough credit for this run.
This is like the perfect tag team I would put against a young tag team to get reps. You know, if I was booking the territory. And that's not to say they don't have anything to offer on TV or pay-per-view, because clearly, as demonstrated by this match, they definitely do. Now again, are they going to have knockdown drag-out classics against anybody? No, they're not. But like, you put them in a hot feud with a tag team like Benoit and Malenko, who even when the gas tanks of the older vets empty, they can still fucking carry you to a really good match, and you heat up that team enough to serve you a purpose elsewhere on the card.
Exactly. Like, this is a team you put the tag belts on and they have a TV feud with somebody. But on their house show, they're working a team like a Private Party or a Top Flight or whatever. And they're getting those continuous reps against the younger guys, and the younger guys are learning from them, and they're kind of... It's just...
Which, in spite of what the PC would say nowadays, is absolutely the tried and true way of getting wrestlers to a point where they are good.
It's honestly vital in so many wrestlers' progression to have experience like that.
Pretty much anyone who is any good will tell you that they got good by wrestling people who were better than them before the match started. And that is not a coincidence, you know. But yeah, sorry, continue.
But yeah, like, that's just my kind of overreaching point about Barry Windham. Like, it's really undersold how well he did in 1999, coming back after such a long layoff. Like, he hadn't been around for, I want to say, a good, like, it was 94 when he disappeared from WCW.
Yeah, not an insignificant period of time.
So, like, I mean, I know they had the new Blackjacks run in WWF. But, I mean, like, this guy hasn't been on national TV for the most part as a major player in 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I genuinely think if they wanted to give him a TV title level run, like Rick Martel in 1998, if they wanted to do that again with Barry Windham, as either a heel or a face, I think it would work brilliantly.
Even as somebody who ultimately is a transitional champion to serve the purpose of, well, the guy who's the champion now, he beat Barry Windham, so he must be good.
Exactly.
You know, we're not saying this guy needs to be pushed to the tippy top of WCW. But there are slots all up and down a card where a Barry Windham is priceless.
And especially to the WCW crowd, who we know were like really the loyalist crowd in wrestling because they absolutely went away when the company shut down. But these are people that remembered all the way back to Crockett TV, to Mid-Atlantic. Like there was fans that were around that long that remembered Barry Windham. Like, this whole feud is based off Windham and Hennig were horsemen. That's the subcontext to all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's really like it's just a great bit of business.
But
this
the match itself is just so, like, you want to talk about just 4 professional wrestlers who go out and have, it's not a spectacular match. It's not, you know, the Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers. It's not that.
It's a tag match where they knew the feud they had and they knew where they were on the card.
Yeah. They worked their roles on the card. They made the match feel vitally important. They worked hard. Everything looked legit. Like, this is all like, I hate to do that. It's the workers match.
Yeah.
But that's what this was. This was 4 guys who knew how to wrestle, going out and having a proper old style professional wrestling match that the crowd were into. The baby faces, both baby faces got like hot tag spots.
Yes.
The heels were never once likable. Nobody wanted the heels to win.
No.
They had this ridiculous stip, which they spent a month building to.
And you know what?
But I was going to say, they worked it perfectly. They established early on exactly what the stip was. When Hennig and Windham try and walk away, instantly the Lumberjacks are after them with the belts. Yeah. Hennig again rolls out 2 or 3 more times. And instantly, you know, okay, for anyone that's never seen a match like this, they're going to hit them with the strap as soon as they go. Like, as soon as their heads are going through the ropes, the Lumberjacks are there waiting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not like will they, won't they? It's immediately.
And they work in this ridiculous gimmick, like I said, that they spent all month building to, and they make the match fit around it. And it doesn't feel forced.
And even what I thought was like silly complication on top of silly stip, like at the start, Arn comes out. I actually loved it.
Oh, brilliant.
Arn comes out and he has a quick word with Gentleman Chris Adams, who is one of the Lumberjacks, and he goes, okay, fair enough. Chris Adams pops off, Arn takes his place as a Lumberjack, and in one swift motion pulls his belt out. I will say, Arn's look with the turtleneck and jean jacket combo, powerful.
What's it they call it? The Canadian tuxedo? The denim on denim?
The Canadian tuxedo, yeah. Canadian tuxedo with a turtleneck twist is just powerful. Like Ricky Starks would never.
But he could if he wanted to.
Oh, he absolutely could.
But again, it's another small thing, but right before Arn comes out, it's established because the camera work on the show, brilliant all night. I don't think they had any major flubs that I can recall.
No.
Right before the match begins, you see Curt Hennig acknowledge Bobby Duncombe Jr. and Kendall Windham and give them a wink.
Yeah. You're my boys.
And the first time the Horsemen get thrown from the ring, Hennig directs them towards. He makes a show of going one direction, seeing the lads, and going back towards them.
Yeah. He knows what side his bread is buttered on.
That's just, again, it's little things like this. Like, inexperienced wrestlers aren't going to do that. Like, Hennig made sure to be seen to wink.
Yeah. There was also a good moment where Hennig, knowing exactly where he is in the ring, makes sure to get Malenko on the mat in a sleeper while facing Arn Anderson. And Arn is trying to coach him and almost like push the bottom rope towards Malenko so he'll break. And the whole time, Hennig is just roaring back at him, just like, shut up, Anderson. And just like, he's going to fall short. Shut up, Arn. Is really, really good. Which then builds to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know we're not going move for move through this match. I don't want to do this. I want people to go watch this match.
Yeah, I think the opener and the hardcore match, the fact that we'll have 3 recommendations
I'd say
coming
4
out of this
because I'd throw in
wild.
National Mysterio.
Oh, actually, yes. No, fair play. Like, this might actually be one of the more, not in terms of star ratings, but in terms of pure entertainment value, one of the better pay-per-views we watched.
But, yeah, like, the finish, what was the finish? Oh, like a kind of big schmoz breaks out involving, I think Benoit throws Wyndham to the outside and Kendall starts trying to protect Barry. And that just sets off everybody, and there's this big schmoz, and Hennig tries to replicate what they did at the Super Bowl. Was it Super Bowl pay-per-view? Yeah.
Yes.
What they did at Super Bowl with Malenko, where they choked him with the belt. But it kind of backfires. And is it Arn slips in then?
Yeah, so Arn, he's kind of... Hennig has enough of Arn, but Arn has enough of him, and he comes in with the tire iron to murder him.
That's right. Hennig decks Malenko with the belt buckle, and then goes after Arn. As he turns back to Malenko, Arn is getting in the ring with the tire iron and decks him from behind. Hennig takes a hell of a... he takes a bump, and at this point it's himself and Benoit that are the legal men. Chris Benoit is on the other side of the ring. He goes from corner to corner diagonally with a diving headbutt, and I fucking howled.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Either he managed to make it, or they got literally the perfect camera angle to disguise him falling just a bit short.
If he didn't make it, he almost did, and the camera made it look like he nailed him in the stomach.
It was a great finish.
Look, I'm not going to say this is like a match of the year or a fucking best wrestling tag team match I've ever seen. It's not that. It's just such a solid match and an enjoyable match that told a great story.
Yeah. It also marks a point for me where the show just trails off. Because the last 3 matches... I don't know about you. We deliberately don't talk about these shows extensively before we got on the air. But I am varying degrees of didn't like to hate the final 3 matches. If the show had ended on this tag team match finish, I would have said this is the best WCW pay-per-view we've ever watched. But sadly, the show must go on. And one of the nadirs for me, much as it pains me to say with the 2 people involved and how much we've loved them on this show, is the dog collar match with Perry Saturn and Chris Jericho. Now, Jericho's fabulous fringe poncho deserves a mention. It's the best thing in this match. I don't think it's
the first time we've seen him in that.
No, but you know what? I'm grasping at straws to find something I liked about this. I despair at how quickly Saturn went from they could do something with this guy to Leather Daddy. Because whatever about if this gimmick came around in 2022, if you give someone this gimmick, this exact gimmick, in 1999, you know they're being sent out to die on their arse. This is, you know, this is a sadly less tolerant time of somebody who's essentially doing like a kink cross-dressing gimmick.
Yeah, this is, hey, you listen to that Marilyn Manson music, go out and do that for us.
Yeah, this is half-baked. You can tell Saturn's, like, now look, in terms of how he dresses, he's completely committing. But in terms of, like, his personality, you know, he can't have been, look, I might be wrong. There might be a shoot interview out there where he's talking about how it was creatively, it was good for him. But I got the sense that this is not what he wanted to be doing at this time, even if he's trying his best to commit to the look and everything. So as well as coming out in the kind of, you know, the leather skirt and the kind of the bondage gear, he also has the aforementioned piss contacts. Now, I don't know if he thought that these would come off like cool cat's eyes, but they came off like the man had eyes full of piss. There's no two ways about it. They were piss contacts.
Yeah. They did...
Any other colour would have been better.
To his look, that's all I'll say.
No. So, Jericho tries to get... So this is the other thing. Recency bias does not help this match at all, because we are recording this within a couple of months of MJF and CM Punk having an iconic dog collar match that I personally, on my spreadsheet that you will see very soon on our Patreon, gave 5 stars to. This feud, there is a version of this feud that could have merited a bloody dog collar match as a feud ender. Because they have been beefing with each other for a long time. Jericho has repeatedly humiliated Saturn. He should be baying for his blood. It could be a good
way for Saturn to get his comeuppance where Jericho cannot run away.
There are the seeds of a solid build to a dog collar match here. But the way they have actually done it, I didn't feel any heat to this match at all. I didn't feel any for me to not feel invested in either Saturn or Jericho, who we have both loved for the entire run of this podcast, that takes some doing. But they have killed this feud completely dead.
Instead of taking two guys that were elevated throughout 1998 and could elevate each other further up the card by having a feud with one another, this now feels like a feud between two people who just can't wait to get out of this company.
This is one of those feuds where both men came out colder than they went in, which is the worst thing you can do. Like, you know, you want at least one person to get over more than they did, and both men are less over by the end of this match. And that is not to fault the effort they put in this match. Like, these guys take some hard bumps. They take a battering with the chain, and they do some of your classic dog collar match spots. But, like, I genuinely didn't give a fuck. And it's from the first moment of, you know, Jericho trying to put the collar on Ralphus, trying to get him to do it, and then Ralphus storms off. He doesn't want to do it. He gets slapped in the face, and then he goes off. I'm kind of like, oh, just fucking get around to it. So I liked it when Saturn took him down with a couple of suplexes and forced the collar onto him. You know what I mean? So that he can't get away. And I thought, okay, maybe we're off to the races here. because then, like, not quite aware of what's happening. Jericho, who, by the way, earlier in the night when he was talking to Mark Madden, had said, "I've never been in a dog collar match," but then referred to himself as the Swami of dog collar matches, which I laughed at. So because he's not quite aware of what's going on, he gets the collar put on him. He tries to bail, and he gets choked and dragged back by the collar.
Foundationally, it has all the classic spots of a dog collar match that you expect. The heel trying to run away and realising he can't get away. But,
yeah,
I don't know. I think even without having watched Punk MJF, this match would still come off as lame as fuck.
Yeah, there's like a couple of, like I said, there's a couple of good spots in here. There's a bit where Jericho crotches Saturn on the ropes and then goes outside and pulls the chain as hard as he can, which yanks him, or is it the other way around?
No, Saturn throws Jericho to the outside.
Saturn throws Jericho. So Jericho is crotched. Saturn pulls the chain as hard as he can, and Jericho goes flying off the ropes across onto the fence. That looked cool. There's a moment which looks like it accidentally sucked where Jericho locks in the Lion Tamer.
Yes.
And Saturn's leg gets caught in the chain, which is then, like, for real choking Jericho as he's trying to lock the hold in, so they just bail out on it. Although I do think there is something in there that you could do a chain-assisted tamer that would look like death. You know? Something out of, like, the, the Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole with the choke out with the chain. Yes. That kind of, the in Ring of Honor. That kind of shit. So DVD on the chain, only for 2. Then the chain breaks off. Not sure whether this was, like, supposed to happen, or they just, in fairness to them, they did pivot quite well and play it into the end of the match, which made me think that maybe it was supposed to happen. But also it's kind of one of those things where not quite the level of, in TNA, the blindfold match where the bags kept falling off their heads. But, dog collar match where the chain breaks is just like, well, that's the fucking stip dead. Now it's just like a match with a chain.
I think it was a case of this is just two professional guys who just knew to cover and just kind of went straight to the finish afterwards.
Yeah, so Jericho wraps himself in the chain and goes for the moonsault, eats shit. Then he tries a chain-assisted splash, and I did laugh at him tucking the chain into his jocks, eats shit again, and then just a plain old Death Valley driver for the win. And that's kind of what makes me lean back on the side of this wasn't the original finish, because they did the DVD on the chain.
For the near fall.
For 2, and then it's just a straight up
I'm
DVD.
Thinking like a chain assisted Rings of Saturn or something was to be the finish.
That would have looked good. This was bad, and I don't ever want to think about it again. Then we get Mikey Whipwreck in the internet location. Says, and rightfully so, that he's proud of his performance tonight, and that he puts over Kidman as well, saying he's very impressed by him as an athlete and as a wrestler. Very much Madden is putting over the idea that Whipwreck is a student of the game, and that he had counters to absolutely everything that Kidman had to offer, except, as he said, the shooting star press. There's no real counter to that, is there, buddy? He said, no. Even though, like, how many people have we seen roll out of the way or get their knees
How astute of Mark Madden.
Star press. Yeah, in fact, I believe he gets out of the way of a shooting star press in that match. Yeah. Anyway, next up we had WCW World Television Title / Martial Arts Division Title match with Scott Steiner with Buff versus Booker T.
This is a rare sighting for us, a Scott Steiner singles match.
A rare sighting of 2 things. A Scott Steiner singles match and a Booker T match that I wasn't into.
Yeah, this feud just feels cold. It doesn't feel important at all.
It feels cold, and it felt like 2 men trying to have 2 different matches. Any time during this that Booker was reaching across to do a Scott Steiner match was were the times that things gelled better. On multiple occasions, though, Scott Steiner decided he fancied himself able to have a Booker T match. And he is literally not capable of doing that.
No, not at this point.
He's not fully broken down just yet, but he cannot keep up with the pace or the agility of Booker T. And it just came off as like just a swing and a miss.
Yeah, I mean, look, these two will have better matches in the next couple of years in our run. I don't think there's really much point in spending too much time on this one.
No.
Look, they were putting the semi-main event spot on a card they weren't really built as a major part of, and it just, like I said, I think flat is the best way to describe it.
And do you know, for one of those kind of things where like it should be an awesome moment of like babyface, the crowd is really behind Booker T getting a title match win on a pay-per-view. I felt like the finish was very flat, where he's not even hitting his own move to win. Like, but Buff comes in with the chair, but accidentally hits Steiner, and it's not like Booker then hits, you know, his missile drop kick or axe kick, anything like that. It's just he just knocks out Buff and takes the pin. It's like he stole the pin.
And also, you have to remember, like, Booker has spent the previous 2 months feuding over the US title. To now win the TV title feels like a relegation of like, yeah, you're over, but we don't want you to be that over.
Yeah. But there is one notable thing about this match, and that is that we have a new martial arts division champion.
For the first time since November, yes.
It is Booker T, my friend. So Scott Steiner, just looking at it here, may have had just about the longest run.
But only one defense.
Of the martial arts division title. He held it from the 22nd of November 1998 to the 14th of March 1999, where we crowned our new linear martial arts champion, Booker T. Very interested to see where this goes next, but not very interested to see this match again. Lee, one more. I know these next 3 minutes annoyed the piss out of you without even having to ask. One more cage video package for the road, followed by your boy. It's Buff Dog himself with a fresh dye job.
I just hate the fucking Michael Buffer coming in and doing main events. Well, what's his name? Fucking, I can't even think of his name. I'm so annoyed. Penzer's right there. He was a much better announcer. But anyway, WCW wanted this big fight feel, I guess, which just never came off. I mean, this match. How many steps has this match got?
I think since we started this podcast, 3 more steps were retroactive.
That aren't going to be adhered to.
Because one that was not mentioned, that confused the fuck out of me, but apparently happened on Nitro, and they didn't mention it until the closing stretches of this match, or at least they didn't mention it prominently enough for me to pick up on it, was that on Monday, Charles Robinson had been told by Ric Flair to use referee's discretion. And what that panned out as during this match was ignore all stipulations.
Okay, so let's begin. First of all,
Lee, what you need to see is Lee just like sat back and like hiked up the pants. He's fucking ready to go.
Like, it's so stupid. First of all, they make this match. It starts out as a personal issue of Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan, and it's like, yeah, I want to be world champion again. Okay. Then it becomes, right, we're gonna have it in a barbed wire steel cage match with no door. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine, we do that. Then it becomes, you can be WCW president for life if you also win the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have to retire forever if you lose. Okay, so that's another 2 stipulations. Then we come to find out sometime over the weekend.
But by the way, there was like no... Flair already had the title match. Like, the whole thing was Flair was agreeing to shit because he wanted the title match. But Flair had already agreed to the title match before the you have to retire forever thing.
He's also WCW president. He didn't have to agree to anything.
Yeah. He could have made the stip, whether I win or lose, I'm president forever.
Like, and then we come to learn that some point over the weekend on WCW.com, they announced that this was a First Blood match.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Dave.
Before you even say it,
But
you're not.
Generally, in a First Blood match, the loser of the match is the first person to bleed copiously.
Yes.
Okay. So, 5 minutes into this match,
yes,
Ric Flair is gushing like he's just been in there with Abdullah the Butcher.
He is Ric Flair levels of bleeding.
And the match is never in any danger of being stopped.
Yeah. The way this comes out, because this is where the referee's discretion comes into play, though it was not explained until much later. What this all comes off as, because so I think in their heads they thought, right, Charles Robinson, Little Nate, he's a WCW referee. He needs to help us fight, to keep the company and the belt out of the clutches of the New World Order. But what it comes off as is they're screwing Hogan at every turn. Flair bleeds first, as you said, in a First Blood match. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts. He hit a gusher. And Charles Robinson, absolutely not ringing the bell, not even tempted. Later on in the match, Hogan drops the second leg drop of proceedings. He pins Flair. Charles Robinson does not count the pin. And in the end, when it's to finish, he fast counts it.
So
for the baby face.
Here's the thing that really gets me right. They absolutely did not have to add the First Blood stip. If the whole idea is that they're building to this screw job finish, because that's what they are absolutely building to here. So all they had to do,
though they shouldn't.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll tackle this one bit at a time. Okay, so all they had to do was they knew Flair was going to bleed in this match. You can't have a barbed wire steel cage match and not bleed. They absolutely had to bleed in this match. That's fine. Mm-hmm. All you need to do is say to the commentators, you just put over, no matter how badly busted open, if it's a trickle, if it's a fucking gusher, doesn't matter. You keep pushing. This match should be stopped. The referee should be stopping this match for Ric Flair's safety. This is a 42-year-old, whatever age he is at this point. This is not good. He's lost too much blood. This match should be stopped. Charles Robinson is not doing his job. There's the referee's discretion.
Yeah.
That's how you really put over, this is Charles Robinson favouring his childhood idol.
Yeah. And then you can also tell the story through that as is Charles Robinson's love for his hero going to cost his hero more than just this match? Is it going to cost him his health? Where you should have people in the crowd torn between stop the damn match and don't stop the match.
Like, people should be screaming at Charles Robinson, please stop the match. Like, you should be getting that kind of Mankind at the Royal Rumble, like, God, for the love of God, somebody step in here.
Yeah.
Instead, they instantly build this match up. Like, from the very beginning, Ric Flair's the heel in this match. There's no doubt in my mind Ric Flair's the heel in this match right from the start.
Even though he's not. Do you know what I mean? In the match, if we had never watched any WCW before, and you put this match in front of somebody, Ric Flair is the heel. But in terms of the entire build and what organization / faction each one of these is working for and what the outcome of each potential stipulation is, he's not supposed to be the heel.
It's absolutely ridiculous the way they laid this out. Like, Hogan is 100% playing to the crowd as a babyface.
Yeah. Can I just point out as well, I've been listening to, and I would thoroughly recommend it, I've just started, the Lapsed Fans 5-part Bash at the Beach breakdown. Each episode being like fucking 5 hours long. So good. So good. I love the Lapsed Fans so much. They talk about how, under the terms of his new contract that he signed, like, 97?
It was March 98.
98. So he is earning minimum, and this is before you factor in his merch or anything like that. If this pay-per-view bombs, if no one bought it, his minimum guarantee is that he gets $1.3 million 3 times a year for 6 pay-per-views total. And that, I believe, in the final year of his 4-year deal, that would escalate even more. So he's also getting like a cut of the pay-per-view. He is getting a cut of the live gate, all this sort of stuff. And, you know, at first, until the blood stuff happens and everything, all the fucking logic goes out the window, I was like, Hogan's looking all right here for Hogan. You know, he's obviously, both men, particularly Hogan, are past their physical peak, and Hogan, in terms of the star ratings that man can deliver, never particularly great. But I thought to myself, you know what? Flair can still sell like a champ, which makes Hogan's power spots look really good. And if it's this for a while, and it's just these two titans slugging at one another, I'm here for it. But it went from that to this cavalcade of bullshit so quickly. And, like, how? The dude is earning, like, I know it's Hogan. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in me even ruminating on this out loud, but here I am. This guy is earning so fucking much money. Why is it? Because I'm fully confident that the reason he is essentially the babyface in this match is he wants to be the babyface in this match. You know? I fully believe that with every bit of my heart and soul. But I ask you, friend, why? Why would you earn that much money and give a fuck at this stage? You know, like, I just despair, because this match, I know Flair versus Hogan has always been snake bitten. Every time they've done it, it has never lived up to expectations. But I think this is the closest you've come to the only thing that stopped this from not living up to expectations, but at least being a moderately passable world championship main event with significant impact, is just the absolute worst overcomplication bullshit that you very accurately said on our Twitter account at WCW Thunderpod. Russo gets a lot of shit for overbooking and overstipping every single match, but this was fucking preposterous.
I mean, it's ludicrous the level to which they over-promised with stipulations on this. I mean, it's like all they had to do was say Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, steel cage, champion, president for life, or retirement. That's the stip. That's the build. It's the brand new NWO, fucking Hollywood, Wolfpack, whatever the fuck they're called. After being built up as these big, bad, fucking evil guys, all come back together to once again rule over WCW. And then you have WCW's saviour, Ric Flair, coming in. He's not the Ric Flair of old. He's this new modern Ric Flair. He understands what he is. He's being phased out to a president role. He's probably not fit to be world champion at this stage. You have the Horsemen on the undercard winning the tag belts as the fucking fieriest of fiery baby faces.
How how was the closing image of this pay-per-view not the Horseman
For the
standing
first
tall
time.
with 3 belts?
For the first time,
Yeah.
it would have been. And it's just... They cannot help themselves. They get in their own way so much.
Because as you in particular have outlined beautifully, there are even ways of doing each individual stip that they threw onto this well. Mm-hmm. They absolutely, again, if you and I had the book, none of this fucking overstipping bullshit is happening. That said, there is a way you can do the cage match great. There's a way you can do the blood great. There is obviously a way you can telegraph and do the ref's discretion bit great. But they don't. They do it in a way where I can only surmise the chief purpose of this was not to have Flair triumphant in victory and finally wrest the belt to the Horseman away from the NWO. The main goal of the structure of this match is to get Hogan over as a babyface who was screwed.
That's what it comes off as to me. Ric Flair wants to be a heel again. Hulk Hogan wants to be a face again. Fuck what's gone on in the past 3 months. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is what we want. Forget that Malenko and Benoit are like the hot new babyface tag team in the fucking company.
Yeah.
No, it's we're doing a double turn. Fuck everything else. Doesn't matter. We'll rewrite it tomorrow.
Yeah, which makes absolute, like, again, something else that plays into this match that we haven't even really mentioned yet is David Flair comes out,
Meaningless,
you know,
totally
and
meaningless.
Doing a double turn completely cuts the legs out from underneath that storyline. You know, Arn comes out like as a triumphant, like Arn comes out and Arn is coming out to interfere in an entirely different match. Like, Arn is coming out and doing the pass the tire iron in as if, in Arn Anderson's head, he's helping the babyface who is being screwed by fucking NWO ref and all the NWO shenanigans, and he's trying to even the score. That's what Arn thinks he's running out into. But he's Vince McMahon handing the chair to Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Functionally. You know,
yeah.
And like, I don't want to say this isn't as bad, obviously, in terms of long-term repercussions as beating the streak, or as the finger poke of doom. But this is perhaps the most WCW booked match, the most death rattle of this company. This is why they fucking closed down bullshit of all time. Because if you ask like a single fan going into the building that night, or a single fan who bought a pay-per-view that night, or a single fan who's a fan of WCW, and you laid out the hypothetical of this match bell to bell, there's not a single one of them that would have wanted that, or be interested to see what played out from a double turn, or, you know, anything like that. No one can have been happy with this.
All, like, again, okay, if the ultimate goal is to get back to babyface Hulk Hogan and heel Ric Flair, okay, we can get there, but it doesn't have to be done on this night. Again, straight off the top of my head, you want Ric Flair as the heel. Fine. Ric Flair wins the belt tonight. Big triumphant. The Horsemen have their moments. They're on top of the world. Ric Flair is now world champ. He now has the tag team champions in his stable. He's also the president of the company. Brilliant. He starts to be using power. They start to become the NWO. Ric Flair is now Hogan and Bischoff rolled into one. And who's the only person that can stop him? Goldberg. There you go.
Yeah. But like, and this is like the thing, you know, I mentioned there a minute ago, the thing that is most obvious to me that this wasn't even remotely thought out is what a sore fucking thumb David Flair sticks out as in this. Because booking this match and booking the idea of like Flair being a heel again, Hogan being a babyface again, it completely, like, not that it was exactly fucking a great work of literature before that or great dramatic work, but it makes the entire David turn make absolutely no sense because he is still a heel. But now he's on the babyface side.
Yeah, and it... Like, look...
The babyfaces who tortured him with a stun gun like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I get this. The story they're going for is that Rick is so obsessed with being world champion for the 14th time that he doesn't care about his son. Like, he spits at David Flair.
Yeah. Yeah.
But...
And look, I'm all on board not caring about David Flair.
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't negate that David Flair also betrayed his dad.
Yeah.
Like, two shitheads being shitheads doesn't make one of them a good guy.
Yeah.
So,
it's just, I don't even want to, like, recount the stuff that happens in this match. Because, again, a lot of it, like, even some of the cool moments, like, Hogan doing his strength spots or doing, for the first time in a long time, as they point out, another indicator of the double turn. Is them talking about him hulking up, which he hardly ever does anymore, and the crowd getting into it, and him. I suppose the thing I always love about the hulking up when it's Flair is the bit he adds into the hulk up where he walks through a chop. I do think that's a cool thing. Out of context, in this, I'm just like, why am I cheering for the heel hulking up here? I shouldn't be hating that. I should be hating this. The ref's discretion thing, like we said, is an absolute fucking mess. Like, both men are just drenched in blood. The ref just doesn't give a fuck.
Just don't add that stip. It's they can't help themselves. They really can't.
Yeah. And I guess, so Flair gets a tire iron, knocks Hogan completely unconscious. And then, instead of just pinning him, puts him in the figure four and his shoulders are down, so Charles Robinson fast counts the pin. And it's just the most overwrought shit in the world. And what should be a triumphant moment of all the horsemen standing tall with their belts, as we said, is just kind of a rush. The cage comes halfway up, Flair celebrates a little bit with the belt, and the show ends. And I'm just sitting on the couch going, that was a complete fucking waste of time and energy.
Yeah,
and Buffer making it even worse by, you can hear him off screen go, "You have seen history being made," and I was like, well, I guess yes.
Yeah, just because history was made doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this pay-per-view had so much promise. Even had some really good moments, and like you said, it's that last 50 minutes to an hour with the last three matches just kill any possible cares I could have about anything going forward here.
Yeah. Just awful. Just awful. Anyway, look, let's get a final summation here, mate. Your thoughts on the show overall, winners and losers.
I mean, the first half of the show, there was two bad matches. But everything up to match 6, like, you had the great opener for the Cruiserweight belt. You had Nash and Ray, a really good match. Like you said, Nash's best performance by far. You had the Hardcore 3-Way, which, again, your mileage may vary depending on how much you want different styles on a show. But, again, both of us loved it. And then that tag match. Just a phenomenal piece of business, which has just been killed stone dead by what went on in that main event.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you give your winners and losers?
No.
Sorry, I'm just like... I'm just so... Like, this is... Just recounting this match has completely wiped me out in a way that, like, I can't remember being wiped out after one of these shows.
Do you know who the bigger winner is in the show? Kevin Nash, because he got away from Hogan. He doesn't have to be in a feud with Hogan.
Yeah. Smartest man in the biz. Booker man, you've done a good job.
Losers, Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko, because now they have to go heel because of what Ric Flair did in the main event.
Yeah, and everybody involved in the main event as well.
Just awful.
Except Aaron, who thought he was in a different fucking match. Right, your finish counter brought to you by Ludwig Borga. 9 matches with, and this very much WCW. 9 matches, 5 clean finishes, and 4 interference leading to a finish. Right, on that rather dour note, we're going to leave you to it for another 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Days of Thunder. Keep an eye out on the socials for more word, more teasing of the Days of Thunder Patreon coming in June. And yeah, our next episode will be TRL. So look forward to that, and then we will regrettably return to the timeline after that. If you saw my post about what shows are upcoming, we've got some hot bullshit coming your way, but also some genuine, like, hot moments.
What is it?
Iconic moments.
The next 6 shows we have TRL and Nights of Nitro. No, TRL, Thunder, Nights of Nitro.
Knights of Nitro, Thunder, Knights of Nitro. Yeah. So it's gonna be an interesting ride. The next couple of months are fun, and they're a little bit kind of we're changing things up a bit in terms of like the kinds of shows. But I am not after this hyped to see more WCW, so it's really good that we slotted in a TRL after this.
I think that's our go-to move now, is slot in a show that's just totally off timeline just to get us refreshed.
Yeah. When's it Arcade-a-Ween? Is that soon?
It's always Arcade-a-Ween in our hearts.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Right. Anyway, go on. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone, for listening to another episode of Days of Thunder. Days of Thunder was produced by Lee Malone and edited by me, Dave Ryan. Keep up to date with the show and find all the ways to listen to us. You can follow us on Twitter at WCW ThunderPod, or click the Linktree link in our Twitter bio or in the show notes. I am at The Day to Dave on Twitter, and Lee is at Malone_713. Days of Thunder is a part of the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. Follow the VOW network anywhere good podcasts are sold for more fine podcasts than you can shake a stick at. Thanks.